Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you so much for being here. This is going to be a fun one. As you know, we're doing Shine the Light, and we're grabbing people because like I say, we believe that the power of the company, this company, are the people. I've been in many business where you're just a number, and on passive, you matter. And this person that we're about to introduce to you, she definitely matter. Okay, I met her in trivia. We have a lot of fun there. I tell people you should go, and she's a pit bull with lipstick is the name I gave her. And I know a lot of people when I first said it got that look like, holy cow, I can't believe you said it. She wore that with honor. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah, and every time she puts it on, I'm thinking, oh, we're gonna get beat in trivia. But anyway, she's a wonderful lady, businesswoman, uh, very intelligent, powerful woman. And this was said last night in Iran. I've said it to Ash. The most powerful people in unpassive, and I know the men aren't going to like it, are the women. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of a clause in there. They're also a pain in the butt, but no, in a good way. No, they keep you directed. Men are all over the place. You know, all the shortcuts we take on a trip, and when it's longer, we don't read the directions when we're building something, and you got parts left over. That's men. But anyway, we're going to get moving. I'm going to have Chris introduce this young lady, and we're going to have a blast. Go ahead, Chris.
Wow, it is my pleasure and honor because I love this lady. I got to meet her in Georgia with her husband at Dr. Bill's house. We had a lot of fun, and to be honest with you, she's a very beautiful woman. And I said to her, not in a bad way, is, oh my God, the camera does not do you justice. When I met her, I was blown away. She's extremely intelligent. She's very forward to the point kind of lady. She's very organized, and that's why I love her. And she's funny as heck. She's got a personality along with her beauty that's perfect. So, on that note, I want to bring in the pit bull with lipstick. I'm hoping she puts her lipstick on. Marty, bring her on. And hold on, Caroline. Get that lipstick, lady. Get that lipstick going. And I want to introduce everyone. We're going to put you in the middle of the screen here. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, one of my great friends who's very powerful, Miss Caroline Maki.
Thank you, Marty and Chris, for all the nice things that you said about me. The first thing that I want to do is I want to show all you ladies out there how to put your lipstick on, because if you're a pit bull, you need lipstick. What this does is I've been told that I'm intimidating, but I don't know why. My oldest daughter is now being told that she's intimidating too. So anyway, it might just run in the family. But good morning to everybody. My name is Caroline Maki. I live in Duluth, Georgia, which is Gwinnett County in North Atlanta. I'm married, and I've been married to the love of my life for about 48, 49 years this year. We have got 4 adult, successful, beautiful children and 6 beautiful grandchildren. I grew up in Dublin, Georgia, which is like middle or South Georgia. And I do apologize. People say I've got a Southern accent. I don't think I sound any different than other people. I would love to have an accent like Myra Akina or some of those other ones who've got real thick accents, but people say I got a Southern accent, so I apologize if you cannot understand what I'm saying. In fact, when I first met my husband, who is from Wisconsin, he couldn't understand a word I said, and I couldn't understand a word he said. But anyway, we got together, and we've been together for 49 years this year. I'm the second oldest of 5 children. My mother taught me what true Southern hospitality was. She taught me how to cook. She taught me how to entertain and how to appreciate the finer things in life. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I love. I love making a house a home. I love to cook Southern meals such as fried chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy, collard green, field peas, I also love to cook like low country boil with shrimp, lobster, crab claws, and things like that. I just like to cook comfort food. I've got about 1,000 cookbooks, and that's what I really love to do. I love to entertain and to really show my true Southern hospitality that my mom taught me. I also love to shop. I love to travel, antiquing. I love to go look for antiques and interior design. And I like making memorable family holidays through having out of sight dinners. And we always have the top of the line, top of the list is the great food that I cook, my daughter cooks, and everybody else cooks. We always make everything from scratch. We don't go out and buy these Publix or Kroger cakes. We make everything from scratch. So like I say, food is top priority for me. I love to sell real estate. That's been my profession for the past 40 something years. And I love to help people. So now to talk a little bit about my education, I went to the University of Georgia and I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in interior design. And after graduating from college, I decided that I wanted to go to the beach and work at the beach. So I went to a 5-star hotel on the coast of Georgia, which was called Sea Island. And the hotel's name is the Cloister. It's still in existence today. And that's where I met my husband. So let me tell you a little bit about how I met my husband. I went down there with some of my girlfriends to work and serve on the wait staff to serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And one day, the maitre d' came up to me and said, "Hey, Caroline, you got some hot pants?" And I said, "Yeah, I got me some hot pants." And he said, "Hey, go put those hot pants on, and I need you to go and pass out beer at the golf course because they're having a big convention for plumbers. And I want you to pass out beer." So I said, "Okay, well, that sounds good." He says, "I'm going to pay you well. I'm going to pay you $10 an hour." And that was a lot of money back then. So I go out there and I get the job and I start meeting and I meet the two guys that had hired me. Well, let me just jump back a little bit. When the girls that I went down there with, they kept on saying, "Come on, Caroline, let's go out to the bars. Let's go bar hopping. Let's go find some men." And I said, "No, I don't want to find my husband in a bar. I'm just going to wait for the good Lord to bring him to me." Well, that's the very next day is when the maitre d' called me up or came to me and asked me if I had some hot pants. So anyway, when I was out, let me see. After I went out to the golf course and they told me what I needed to do about passing out the beer and everything, then what happened is they asked me, they really got to liking me and they said, "Hey, Caroline, we want you to come to the dance tonight." And I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm not going to go to a dance without a date." And they said, "Well, we'll find you a date." And I said, "Well, I don't know. It all depends." So every guy that started coming by and me passing out beer and everything, this old guy comes up and Dave, the guy who hired me, said, "What about that guy?" And I said, "No, that guy is old enough to be my daddy." And so then another guy would come up and he'd say, "What about that guy?" I said, "No, that one's even worse. He's old enough to be my grandfather." And so this other guy came up and Dave says, "Well, what about that guy?" And I said, "No, he's not my type." I said, "I'm not going to go to a dance." They said, "Come on, we'll dance with you." And I said, "No, I'm not going to go to a dance without a date." I said, "I'm not going to be a wallflower." So then John Mackey comes walking up. Well, I knew that he was my type. He was tall, dark, handsome. He had the olive skin. He's Finnish, and our last name is spelled M-A-K-I. And a lot of times people think that I'm married to an Asian, but I'm not. He's Finnish. He's got dark skin. He's got blue eyes. He had that athletic build. And I gave him a beer, and we sat down and we started talking. And he asked me where I worked, where they were on a foursome. The other three guys went into the halfway house and to get some snacks or whatever. But he stayed out there and he talked to me. And he wanted to know, of course, I had my hot pants on. And he said he didn't tell me this, but he told me later I had beautiful legs. So anyway, I gave him a beer. He asked me where I worked. And then the three guys came out of the halfway house and they said, "Come on, Mackie, it's time to tee off." So he goes up there. He says, "Nice meeting you." And I said, "Yeah, nice meeting you too." he goes up there and he tees off, and I am telling you what, he had the most beautiful swing I think I had ever seen. So anyway, as the day goes by, then I have to serve dinner in the dining room that night, and I get this call from this guy who I'd met out there. He was the young guy that was not my type, and he called me in the dining room, and he wanted to know if I wanted to go, to the dance that night. And I said, no, I've already got a date. Well, I really didn't have a date, but I didn't want to go with him. So then I guess about 30, 45 minutes later, I get another call in the dining room. And it happens to be John Maki. Well, honey, my heart just fell to my feet. And and he says, hey, this is John. You remember talking to me? And I said, yes, I do. And he says, well, would you like to go to the dance tonight? So anyway, that's history. We went to the dance that night, and it was like love at first sight. He couldn't keep his eyes off me, and I couldn't keep my eyes off of him. But anyway, after that, moving forward, fast forwarding on, we got married. And at the time, I had moved to Atlanta, and that's where he lived. And my profession was interior design. And at the time, after we got married, we had 2 kids. And I got to the point to where, I want something a little bit better than this interior design. So I decided to go back to school. And so I started doing some research. Where can I go and make a good bit of money? And so everybody was telling me information technology. You need to get into computers. So I went back to school at night while I worked a full-time job, and I became a COBOL certified programmer. So then I got a job with MSA, which is Management Science America, which is a computer technology company. They are the ones who invented the interface between PCs and mainframe computers, and they invented the IRMA board. And it was the first product that allowed mainframe computers to interface with PCs. And I was in their technical support department. So I was with them for about 6 years. Then I got another job with Digital Communications Associates, which is called DCA. And I worked for them for about eight years, and I was a senior test engineer number 3. But what had happened, I loved my job, but I had kind of worked myself into a niche. I was making really good money for a woman. I survived about 4 layoffs, but on the fifth layoff, I did not survive. So I got laid off, and like I said, I was making really good money for a woman back then. And my older sister, who was very successful in real estate in the Atlanta area, she was the top number 1 agent for this boutique real estate company for several years in a row. And she says, well, come with me. I'll teach you everything. Well, I had already gotten my license, my real estate license, when I was working with a computer company. And so I said, okay. So I went to work, and it was the best thing that I ever did, because even though I was concerned about my salary, after I went to work with her in real estate, I doubled my salary every year for several years. Then what happened, and I'm going to tell you about when I was in corporate America, when I had that full-time job with 4 kids under the age of 5. When I was working for corporate America, I really had a stressful job. I worked full time. I thought I was going crazy because I had these 4 kids. That's when after I had the 2, which were Reagan and Lauren, then I had my twins, and they were my oops babies too, Jennifer Dickinson. But I also got pregnant with an IUD with 2 implantations. So anyway, I was working crazy. I thought I was going to go crazy. And so I told my husband, I said, listen, I was having my house cleaned once a week. And he kept saying, Caroline, we need to cut out expenses. I'll clean the bathrooms. And I said, John, I've seen how you clean bathrooms, and no, you don't clean them the way I wanted to be cleaned. So anyway, I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown. And so I said, well, listen, I'm going to go see a psychologist or psychiatrist. And I said, and if you really love me, you'll go with me, because I need to figure out what's going on here. And so anyway, we went and we met with a psychologist whose name was Caitlin. And I told her what all was going on in my life and how much I was working. And my 4 kids that we had, all under the age of 5. And she looked at John Mackey and she said, Mr. Mackey, this woman is holding down. She's holding down like six full-time jobs. She's got 4 children. She's working a full-time job, and then she's taking care of you. I would advise you that if she wants her house cleaned, that you go ahead and allow her to pay for a housekeeper to come in and clean her house. So I never heard a word out of John after that. So I got my house cleaned. So during these trying times, my faith got stronger and stronger. And I could tell that God was working in my life. And I knew that God was going to take care of me. And so what I did, in one of the houses, the house that we're living in now, I have a prayer room, and I spend a lot of time with God and Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And I just want to kind of just explain or describe to you what my prayer room looks like. Okay. If you see behind me, I've got the 10 Commandments. I've got a collection of crosses, and like I had said, I like to go shopping, but on my collection of crosses, this is one that's made of beads that I like to collect unusual ones. This one has got pearls intertwined with gold filigree. And this one reminds me of Sea Island, where I met John. It has like seashells and everything. And this little cross, I think I paid like 50 cents, but I like to find bargains like Lori Lunn. Okay. I like to go to antique shops, flea markets, garage sales, and things like that. So I've got my collection of crosses. I've got little sayings in the room. I've got one that says, I am his. I've got this one which says, if you can't sleep, instead of counting sheep, try talking to the shepherd. I've got another one that says, let your faith be bigger than your fear. I've got one that reminds me of Ashmafara. And this one says, think big. This really reminds me of Ashmafara because he's always telling us to dream bigger, dream bigger. So let's see. I also have, this is things on the wall like this. And this is a, I'm going to read it to you. It's Isaiah 40:31. But they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Isaiah 40:31. Now, this is my most favorite Bible verse, and it's Jeremiah 29:11. And it says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. So that's my very favorite. And this is what always I think about with ONPASSIVE, that God has got us in the palms of his hands and that he does have a plan for our future. So in my prayer room, I find solace. This is where I get answers to my prayers. He gives me wisdom and guidance. And in my heart, I know that God will use me mightily one day. And through the years, my family and I would keep friends we would let friends come into our home. I had a girlfriend that was going through a divorce and she didn't have any place to go. So we let her come and stay with us and gave her a place to live. There was a friend of one of my children that worked at a restaurant, and he got into a terrible car accident and he had severe brain damage. Well, his parents lived in California. They didn't have much money and they had no place to stay. So my daughter, Claire, came to me and said, Mom, can his mother and daddy come and stay? And I said, sure, because we had a basement with a bedroom and a full bath and an extra kitchen and everything. And I said, sure. They came and stayed for a couple of months. And then, so we've always had a giving heart. We've always wanted to help people. We have given, this one friend of mine who says he's a Christian. We had helped him out and we had given him, a lot of money. Come to find out that he really wasn't who he said he was. This went on for about 5 years. He never paid us back. And to this day, he has not paid us back. And so I just turned it over to the Lord. And as Gemma Ramaki says, she puts things in her hands and she says, here, Lord, this is my problem. And she throws it behind her shoulder and she just says, here, it's yours, Lord. So basically that's what I've done with this particular person. And as the Lord says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And I feel that when ONPASSIVE takes off, that I will get paid back. The Lord will pay me back 7 times what we gave that individual. So let me see now what I want to talk to you about. Let me see. I got my notes here. So, I know, here it is right here. I just want to tell you about the miracles that have happened to me in my life. And this is how I know that God is working. I can actually see him working in my life. Number one miracle was when I met my husband. In fact, I was the only girl that left that resort with a boyfriend. The other ones didn't have a boyfriend, and I ended up marrying mine. God, my number 2 miracle was when God opened the door when I got my job with MSA. I had interviewed with human resource director, and I got turned down. They said that that they were not going to hire me. Well, a couple of weeks later, this manager from the tech support department called me, and they said, "Hey, Caroline, I ran across your resume. Could you come in for an interview?" Well, I just kept my mouth shut and I said, "Sure, I can." I did not tell them that I had already interviewed with the human resource department. But anyway, I went in and I interviewed, and she hired me right then and there on the spot. Well, it really made that, come to find out, after I got the job and went in and I had to go down to the human resource department, questioned me, and I met with the same lady who had turned me down. She says, "Well, why didn't you tell me?" And I said, "Well, I didn't know that the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. I just kept my mouth shut." So anyway, I got hired, and that was my second miracle. Then the third miracle was when I had the birth of my twins. And like I said, I got pregnant with an IUD. And but when I was carrying the babies, with them being twins, I had to go in at the very end to have a non-stress test to make sure that one baby wasn't getting more nutrients than the other one. And they found out that my little boy was in stress. So they immediately lowered my head. They pressed the emergency button. They called my OBGYN. He said, "Go ahead and prepare her for emergency C-section." And we had 15 people in the emergency room, 5 for each baby and 5 for me. And they kept coming up to me saying, "Caroline, if something's wrong with the babies or whatever, do you still want to have your tubes tied?" And I said, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and do that, because I knew my husband couldn't take anymore. So anyway, when they were delivered, my little boy, they pulled him out first, and he just let out this big yelp. And then the other one, they pulled her out. It's boy-girl twins. And she yelped too. And so the nurses, "Oh, look, they're talking to each other." Well, I knew right then and there that they were going to be fine. But the next day, the doctor, when I went in, or he came to see me, he says, "Caroline," he did not know that I was a Christian. He said, "Caroline," or he said, no, he called me Miss Mackey. "Miss Mackey, I just want you to know that you probably need to get down on your hands and knees and thank the good Lord." He says, "Because in my 25 years of delivering babies, I have never seen a child straddle his umbilical cord like he did. The umbilical cord came from the uterine wall, went through his legs, and then connected to his umbilical cord in his belly button." So he said, "You really do need to get down on your hands and knees, because I've never seen a child straddle his umbilical cord like he did. And if we had not been monitoring you the very minute that we were monitoring you, your little boy would be stillborn." And so that's a miracle that I'm very grateful for. And that we've got 3 girls, and he was our only little boy. The fourth miracle was when I switched careers into real estate, and how all that worked out. I was concerned that, as far as the income, and it basically, after I switched from computers into real estate, my income doubled, as I had told you before. And that's when I knew that I had to walk by faith and not by sight. The number 5 miracle or miracles was I've had a healing. I had a spot on my kidney. And when the urologist operated or went in to do an exploratory, I had told her before that I was going to be healed, and I claimed it. Well, when she went in the next day, when they did the surgery and everything, she came back out and she says there was nothing there. So I claimed that as a healing. then I had breast cancer last year, and that was taken care of. It just so happened that my annual mammogram is when they found the cancer, and it was a stage 0, but it got escalated to a stage 1 because of a microscopic invasion of the cell wall. So I look at that as a miracle because it was caught early on. And then this year, 2024, my husband had quadruple open heart bypass. And so we're all really good now, health-wise, and praise be to God, and thanks to all my ONPASSIVE family for praying for me and my husband. And it's just been great. We really appreciate all y'all's prayers. The 7th miracle is one to come, and that's when ONPASSIVE comes to fruition. And then when the apples start flowing, that we can, turn around and give that to the different charities. So now let's see, what else do I want to tell you about myself? Okay, how ONPASSIVE found me. My dentist was Dr. Bill Williams, and one day I was at the dentist, and he had come in, and we were talking, and he said, "Caroline, I want to show you something." I said, "Okay." Well, he was basically showing me ONPASSIVE with my mouth wide open, and he was checking out my teeth. And so I said, "This sounds really, really good. I'm open to hearing about it." And so basically I went home, he told me what I needed to do, and I did a little bit of research, and I signed up that night. And this was back in, I think it was August of 2021. So it's going on 3 years. I've had a lot of experience with multi-level marketing, but that's another story for another day. And I'll maybe on my second interview, I'll tell y'all a little bit about that. But I loved hearing about OBLESS. And I said, wow, this has got to be where God wants me to be. So ONPASSIVE was going to be I felt in my heart that ONPASSIVE was going to be the vehicle that was going to help me accomplish my God-given purpose for my life. So I jumped on board. And so anyway, I firmly believe that each of us here that are founders or affiliates, that each of us have been divinely appointed for such a time as this. And what my God-given purpose for my life, I know, is for me to make money for the kingdom and to change people's lives. So what I'm going to do is I started putting together a list of all these charities that John and I would be given to, and I've got page after page after page of where we want to give money when the money starts coming in. Let's see, some of the ones, I'm not going to go through all of these on this list, but some of the ones that are really dear to my heart are veterans, whether they be wounded, homeless, abused women, abused children, sex trafficking, domestic violence, feed the poor, feed the children, give the children fresh water. And one of my biggest ones is to help turn our country or the world back to God. Because it says in the Bible, when the godly rule, the people rejoice. So one thing important too is I'm going to make sure that when the money does come in and I start giving this out to the different charities, that we all have got to be very careful about where this money goes, because I've done a little bit of research, and this is an article. It's called The 50 Worst Charities in America and How to Keep from Being Scammed. Okay, well, anyway, since I've been scammed before, I just wanted to make sure that when this money starts coming in, that I'm not going to be scammed. But I just wanted to tell you, there's a list of these that talk about, here are some of the worst offenders. And some of these have got, I'm sure y'all are really familiar with these, the Children's Wish Foundation International, the American Breast Cancer. It's got 50 of them on here. Circle of Friends for American Veterans, Caring for Our Children Foundation. But it says there is a charity watchdog organization says no more than 35% of donations should go to fundraising cost, and only 2 of the 50 listed here in this article met the criteria. So I would suggest that when the money comes in and y'all start going and giving money to the charities, make sure you're giving it to a legitimate charity. Not just, don't go just by the name of it, because every one of these names are names that y'all have heard of. But you just got to do the research and see what kind of percentage actually goes to fund or to help the people that need the charitable donations, and not just to pay the salaries of the executives. For example, like a lot of people think that Goodwill is a charitable organization. Well, yeah, you get to write it off on your income tax as a charity, but it is privately owned. And I don't know the figure, but the person that owns the man who owns it just is a multi-millionaire. But it is not. So I give all of my stuff to Salvation Army or different places that are true Christian organizations. So anyway, to end this, I just want to thank Ash Mafara. I want to thank him, his wife, and his children for the passion that he has put into ONPASSIVE, for the hard work and dedication to change the world. And I pray for you and our ONPASSIVE family daily. Thank you, Marty and Chris, for allowing me to share my life story. And I love each and every one of you, and God bless you. And so I'll turn it back over to Chris.
Me, Caroline, there you are. Oh, wow. Boy, you are definitely organized. I heard some things. Of course, I'm going to pull this one on you. Hot pants. We're not going to let that one go. You know, but you said some key things that, of course, you know, I'm a Christian. We have a lot of, listen, in ONPASSIVE, we have all kind of different religions. We don't shun on one or the other. Obviously, as you can hear, Caroline is a true devoted Christian. And she said a couple things. She said a lot of things. Walk by faith, not by sight. I love that. And God-given purpose. You did exactly what you should have done on here. You told us about your entire life. That hot pants thing, though. Anyway, I love the fact that you are a Christian and you're not afraid to talk about God. That's one thing a lot of people, they get a little nervous about. Don't be afraid. Talk about what you want to. Your life's pretty amazing. And I think you told us a love story about you and your husband, which I thought was really sweet. You had a bunch of people get tearing up here, and that was pretty cool. So I loved your story, Caroline, but I've always loved you. You came across, as usual, as a pit bull with lipstick. For a minute there, I was saying some prayers for John. Oh, John. But that's who you are, and I love who you are, and I don't ever want you to change. And what a great job you just did, Caroline Mackey.
Thank you.
That was amazing, Caroline. And you just gave me a new title for your name.
What's that?
Pitbull with lipstick that wears hot pants.
Oh my gosh.
No, that was fantastic. That was one of the best, no doubt about it. You're going to relate to a lot of people, and you're a natural at it. You covered everything, and that's cool. I wish I like people to watch these so they know you can do what you want. This isn't about me and Chris. Once you go, do what you want. And the chat's going crazy. So are my dogs, yeah. Anyway, well, thank you very much, for real.
Before you go, I want to say who's upcoming. Dr. Benny will be on Sunday. Dr. Benny, I sent it to engineer Mike. He's going to send you that link in the picture. Monday, we have Pam Turner. Tuesday, we have Judy Miller. And Wednesday, we have Michael Williams. I got to think it was on Thursday. And Vaveen Benny, we got to get with you with the time. We had it scheduled for Friday because we are so far apart. Give us a time. We'll show up and we'll go from there. But I personally want to say, Caroline Mackey, I love you. I'm glad that I got to meet you. I promise you we'll meet again. And I like the fact that you have 18 papers in front of you that dictate what you want to do with your charities. And then you came out and said, don't do these. I love that. I think a lot of people probably don't understand that, but
well, just to know that paper is out there,
yes,
where you can look. Yeah, you're right.
But
Very
the
good.
research you did is amazing, and your struggles. And listen, I want to say something. I talk to a lot of people that are struggling. I want to tell you who Caroline Mackey is, for my opinion. She's a beautiful woman, that independent, strong woman that hit every challenge, and she kept going. She didn't give up. She kept going with kids, 4 kids, kept going. And that's what I'm talking about. A lot of us, and I even include me, we get a little down sometimes. She never got down. She just kept going, and she prayed and asked God for help every day. I love the prayer room, by the way. Caroline Mackey, I love you, sister. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.